Good evening. My name is Adebola Omojuwa, and my presentation today is about the role of the International Olympic Committee in promoting social change and inclusion and international perspective. The outline of my presentation is the introduction, the role played by the IOC, the status of the IOC as a soft power, the IOC and individuals with disabilities, the IOC and refugees, women and the modern Olympic movement. And lastly, my references, because the bulk of this work was done by reading peer-reviewed articles and journals. What is the International Olympic Committee? The International Olympic Committee is a transnational organization with a social, economic, and cultural dimension. When most people think about the IOC, they just think about the Olympics. While that's majorly what they do, organizing and ensuring that there's equal representation at the Olympics, the IOC they perform other duties and ensure that there's equal diversity in host nations and in all nations around the globe. The IOC has been described as a relatively large, hierarchical, and a centrally diverse organization. As the supreme authority for the Olympic movement, the IOC has been most successful in transcending national boundaries and providing a platform to bring to fore prevalent social justice issues, thereby promoting diversity and inclusion. Because the Olympic is a platform for so many athletes from diverse and almost other states in the world. The IOC has been able to bring to fore social justice issues and also ensure that there's equal representation in all countries. So what are the roles performed by the IOC? Apart from organizing the Olympic every 4 years and also the Winter Olympic, they encourage and support fair play in all sports, not just the one organized by the Olympic Committee, but by all other sporting organizations. They also ensure that the sporting games is free from every kind of discrimination. They encourage and support women representation in sport at all levels, and this is due to the fact that historically women has been excluded from participating in the Olympics. They also fight against doping in sports, and this is to ensure that there's fair playing ground in all sporting events. They also protect the mental, physical, and psychological well-being of the athletes. They also ensure that every nation, provide the necessary social and professional amenities for these athletes. So, why is it important to consider the status of the IOC as a soft power? This is because for any organization to effectively, convey its message, they must have some requisite power standing in the global stage. So the IOC today has been described as having the overwhelming power to effectively convey its message, and this because it's being respected by most of the independent nations today. So the IOC, although they insist in keeping away from politics, it has taken active steps in becoming a social change agent with respect to prevailing social issues. For instance, the equal representation of women, people with disability, refugees, gay rights, and citizens of weaker states in sporting events. Because most nations in the world have strict rules in terms of women representing the Olympics, but the IOC have been able to ensure that, although not forcing those nations to compromise on its value, but stressing the importance of competition among equal sexes. According to Haguner, he stated that in relation to other international organizations like the Red Cross and the World Bank, the IOC has unparalleled advantage in global agenda setting. They've been able to promote and to ensure that all their messages are being carried out to full effect by independent states. The IOC and individual with disability, this is a very important aspect of the role of IOC in ensuring, diversity and inclusion, because prior to the 1960s, people with disability, have been historically, you know, alienated and victimized. They've not been, accorded much representation in sporting events. And also in the United States alone, we have statistics that shows that people with disability were being ignored in sporting events and other social events. But the IOC, through the Social Olympics, have been able to provide sports participation for people with disability. So now we have over 180 countries, you know, providing their citizens with disability to participate in the Summer Olympics. And this has tremendous effects on such individuals. You know, in line with the egalitarian values and trying to, ensure that each state, live true to the principle of meritocracy, the IOC through the Special Olympics have placed so much importance in organizing the Special Olympics for people with disability. And such participation by them, enhance their physical fitness, their self-concept, their psychological well-being, and the overall social and personal competence of people with disabilities. Over the years, there have been a number of critics and also opponents of the Special Olympics. Some people think it's just a waste of time, but several research have have discovered the various benefits this has on the well-being of the athletes. One of which is there's a self-improved self-concept, there's a perceived physical competence, it enhances communication skills, and also it's also an avenue for for them being given the much needed medical and healthcare services, which has a great impact on their overall well-being. Another important topic when we're talking about IOC and their role in diversity and social justice, it's the issues of the refugees. The refugees are displaced individuals. They have no country to call their own, and sometimes those individuals are left alone without any sense of self or belongings. So the IOC, in their efforts to drive social change and promote a culture of peace, recognized a group of 10 refugee athletes in the last Summer Olympics in Rio de Janeiro in 2016. And this, shows the importance of the IOC as a social change agent. And one of the athletes, said that although we do not speak the same languages, we no longer have countries to call our home, but the Olympic flags unite us all together, because these refugees athletes were from different countries. They don't speak each other's language, but carrying the Olympic flags, gave them a sense of worth, a sense of belongings, and this shows, the importance of IOC in promoting diversity, encouraging social justice, and also providing a platform for people to feel like they belong somewhere. Women and the modern Olympics. This is a very kind of personal and the major reason why I chose to do this topic, because before the modern Olympics, women were not encouraged to participate in sport. They thought the place of women is just to applaud the men while they're participating in sport. But now things are changing, and also although there's much work to be done, we could see the influence of IOC in ensuring that women are equally represented in not just the Olympics but in other sporting events. So according to Baron Pierre de Coubertin, who is considered the founder of the modern Olympic, and while he led the IOC for 29 years, de Coubertin did not promote or encourage ladies' events, because he thought that the ladies' place is just in the seats, applauding the men athletes. So there was no form of encouragement or equal representation during this time. And so not just during time, but over 50 years after he died, the IOC leadership maintained the same mentality that women place is not in sport. And so there was little or no women representation in the Olympic Games for another 50 years. And so, however, there's good news. The second half of the 20th century witnessed, an increase in women's participation in the Olympic. The IOC recognized that in promoting equal representation and diversity, there needs to be women's events. And also, a prominent example of, imbibing this rule can see in the United States with the implementation of the Title VI, which ensured equal athletic opportunity for people of, diverse sexes. So this is an important step in ensuring equal representation. So according to Ms. Gill, during the first 30 years of Title VI, female participation in sporting opportunity grew at an exponential rate, and so that is one of the platforms promoting social justice. So, in conclusion, when you read the philosophy and most importantly the charter of the Olympic movement, and sometimes they are invariant with modern democratic principles, because there's usually the element of corruption, elitism, ultra-nationalism, and an uneven playing field. There's also an issue of racial, gender, and age discrimination, which, they justify sometimes like, oh yes, there should be an age limitation. Some of the sporting events should not be open to women or people with disabilities. And also there's the issue of doping, drugs use, and monopolies, and other, financial problems associated with the Olympic. Yet, no one can deny the importance of the IOC and the Olympic in being a mega platform of diversity, of, bringing to light prevailing social justice issue, and so they've become a symbol and an important actor in our bid to ensure that there's equal representation, not just in sporting games, but both in political, socio-economic sector of every nation. So right now, the IOC has transcended sports. They are not just, associated with just sporting events, but also on the global stage. They are always invited to the United Nations, events, to give suggestion or recommendation. And most independent sovereign states usually invite the IOC to advise them, to give recommendation in terms of diversity management or, solutions to prevailing social justice issues in those particular countries. So this shows the status of the IOC as as an important actor, as an important forum, and an important institution in the world's bid to ensure that there's, inclusion, there's fair treatment, and there's just togetherness in the world. And so it's really important. And on a personal scale, being someone that's played sport for a while, I personally, cannot underestimate the importance of IOC, because it has provided me a platform to participate in, in diverse countries, and so giving me the social awareness, social skills to, to talk to people of, diverse background or different orientation, which I would not if not through sports. So it's not just like physical playing ground or anything. It's just, it gives you that much needed skill that is missing, to be culturally sensitive, to see people not just as, skin color or something, but just people with, huge knowledge, people with different knowledge, so you can tap into the knowledge like, oh, this is something I learned. And so just the cultural awareness that's missing right now in the world. And so the IRC and all other social organizations, can channel their, their status, their position in the world stage, in not just talking about social issues, but also ensuring that, everybody plays their parts and everybody's held accountable in our be to create a more